Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like a torta with some bad habits. Bye up, bye up. Let's get straight to the intro. Welcome back to Gunners Collective TV. And if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. Put that notification bell on all so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking. And I appreciate all your support. I'm very humbled by it. Wesley Bartholomew Watson. I like calling him Wesley Bartholomew. It rolls off the tongue better, and many videos have been made about Wes Watson. There's a lot of speculation. There's even more speculation now because he has this case hanging over his head. Will he go to jail? Is he going to go to prison? Is he a done deal? Is his YouTube channel failing? Is he failing in life? Is he helping others to fail in life? Is he the guy that's helping everyone? Is he the savior? Is he the God that he proclaims to be? Is he just a good old solid white man, brother? Well, I'm here to tell you a lot of those things have come into question, and I have a lot of those answers. So there's a new channel on the block, man. Unfortunately, the individual behind the channel is incarcerated doing a life term as of right now. Hopefully he can get some get backs one of these days. We'll let that situation and that life play out the way it plays out. But he is on his way from the state of California prison system to the federal system. He was indicted. He got a RICO. He was indicted on federal charges. And so now he might be, as of right now, on his way on a bus, but it is coming this week. And this individual is a good, solid white man. Okay. Someone who has struggled and strived and struggled for what he truly believes in, stood 10 toes down, and, is entitled to his opinion in certain situations and is true to his word. I'll just say that, right? I respect, who he's associated with. I told the line when speaking on those individuals, just because out of respect and out of knowing, man, the situation that you could place yourself in if you run your fucking dick suckers, talking about them guys. I'll say this, being that this guy publicly started a channel on YouTube, I will utilize his name this one time only for this video because I think it holds a lot of merit when it comes to what was said concerning Wesley Bartholomew Watson. The assassin has entered the building. Right? How does that dude Pablo say it? Look, I'll say this. Wes Watson is pretty well known on YouTube. And the other day, this guy, Two Scoops, from the channel Solid Behind Blue Eyes, go support that channel. Go trip out. So anyways, this guy is an alleged member of one of the most notorious organizations in the state of California, The Brand. That's about all I'll say about that, right? And, when you get to that elite level, when we're talking about one of the big four, when we're talking about an organization that carries themselves and has gained a lot of respect over the decades since they've been founded, since the old Bluebird days, I will say this, their word in California holds a lot of weight amongst everyone who knows what time it is. Wes Watson has come out so many times and said he was a shot caller for the whites while in prison on every yard he hit because he was massive, because of his size, because of the way he talked, because of the way he spoke. The yards he was on, he was automatically, in some cases, handed the keys. He was the llavero, the key holder for the woods. I mean, this just came natural to him because he was more intelligent than everyone else on that yard. He was laced better. He was seasoned. He knew what time it was. But no, Matumbo, right? I know some things that a lot of people don't know who haven't been incarcerated when it comes to Wes. It's all a facade. It's all lies. It's all propaganda. It was all paint job. Okay, even fucked up paint job on the head. What it was Wes trying to convince people because of his size and his tattoos that he was actually somebody in the California prison system. Look, I was a nobody. Wes was a nobody. That doesn't make me any better than him or him any better than me, but I ain't never told you I was that somebody, right? So I've never disillusioned you guys or try to play you out of pocket, those that support me. You know, I went to prison. I handled my business. I did what was asked of me. And then when it finally came, push came to shove, and I was on the outside looking in, I continued my strive the way I do. I'm now a father, a family man. I do my thing, but that doesn't deter me from doing this content creation and still talking about this YouTube shit. So anyways, Wes Watson's a whole different story. You know, he's an egomaniac. He's ego driven. He's a narcissist. He's a whole lot of things, but what he never was a shot caller or any type of authority figure with status within that white man's world, brother. And let me explain to you how I knew right from the gate. You know, when Wes Watson first got on the scene, I started watching, Big Herc's channel. Shout out to Big Herc, and I seen Wes. I said, who is this white man, brother? Right. And I was listening to his stories and I say, okay, he's educated enough to know a few things. So he has been locked up. I mean, you could tell someone who's been locked up right from the gate, not by the way they look, but usually by their demeanor, their swag, the way they carry themselves and things that they speak on. You know, most guys who have been locked up, not going to speak on too much, but they're going to give you enough. And so I knew that he was locked up. Then when he started getting to all these videos about being a shot caller and the craziest white man maniac on the yard, I knew he was lying. I knew he was lying when he was talking about beating up on his cellies, his bunkies consistently with no repercussions. See, one thing I know, man, is white men are not going to touch other white men in prison. They stand in solidarity. There's not very many of them on them yards. So those that do carry themselves a certain way have to roll with them punches. They have to be hard as rocks, right? So I knew when he was talking about beating up on his cellies over dope, using dope, just the certain things that he was talking about, there was no way he could ever be in a leadership position. He could be just another good old Wood there doing time and getting ready for that wheelie. That's all he was. But he continued he couldn't just be one of the fellas. He had to be that fella. Okay. And I've done time with some of those fellas. So I know just by their demeanor and the way they carry themselves, he was not him and I is not him. Right. And that was it. Wes Watson was from that point on, to me, a liar. He was a liar and he was stealing valor. Right. He was stealing prison valor. Now, no comparison to prison in the military. I got a lot of love for the military. And I know there's no comparison there, but at the end of the day, it's a similar situation, right? He was stealing people that actually fucking shed blood and made ultimate sacrifices. People like Two Scoops, man, who are on their way and are taking it on the chin like nothing, man, and is on his way to the BOP. You know, these are the guys that made the sacrifices for the white cause. These are the guys that, held it down for years. Now, yeah, Wes Watson come along, brother, with San Diego, brother, and lies. Well, I did a video about probably 8 months ago where some skinheads got in contact with me and they expressed their distaste for Wes Watson and his antics and what he does on YouTube, his lies. That's pretty much what it comes down to. I'm not here going to tell you that Wes Watson paroled in bad standings or that he dropped out. I've heard stories, but I don't know, right? And of course, there's no way for Wes Watson to drop out if he never fucking dropped in. And I'm not going to go into that explanation either. One thing I could tell you is he did the majority of his time in Oklahoma, out of state, reception, Donovan, but proclaims to have been everywhere under the sun. He said he did a shoe term. He never did a shoe term. Okay. Hey, just because it says on the paperwork you got a 15-day shoe doesn't mean you're in the shoe. It means you're in an ad seg doing a fucking shoe term in the ad seg. So all this, oh man, I was here, I was there, high profile shit, it was all lies. It was all to make you believe that he was super convict. And at the end of the day, to push his agenda, which was that he was this fucking changed man that could help you be just like him. And he got in your pockets. Oh, he dug deep in your pocket. He dug almost as deep in your pockets as he does his own asshole. So that was deep, right? That motherfucker so deep, putting Wes to sleep, brother, right? He just dug. They call him Dig Dug. But the other day, this guy, Two Scoops, who, again, his channel is called Solid Behind Blue Eyes. He's having a conversation. And he's asked a question in an interview about Wes Watson, or Wes Watson's name comes up. Now, this man, when he's speaking for himself. But of course, at the end of the day, when you're part of an organization, a group, a gang, anything like that, you're speaking on behalf of them. Anything you say, can be misconstrued as their shit, right? And it goes like this. It's just like when you get these gang enhancements, man. For the benefit of a gang, they always say, even though you were out there just robbing the store because you were broke, because you're a gang member, you did it for the benefit of a gang. So they always going to throw that on your lap, whether you like shit on your lap or not. I like tortas on my lap. That's about it. I'll say this, though. When asked about Wes Watson, he immediately said that dude's a clown. He's a joke. Wes Watson is not in good standings, and Wes Watson is not embraced in the California system in so many words, right? I don't want to put words in his mouth, but that's what I got out of it. So, like I said, when I talked to the skinheads a while back, they told me the same thing. And I did a video on it, and some people were like, yeah, Wes Watson paroled good. So if he goes back, just like he'd said when he was on No Jumper with, the notorious Active Adam, the Viking, right? That if he went into prison, man, he'd still be good. He'd still be a key holder. He'd still be this. He'd still be that. No wonder his ass moved to Florida. He got the fuck on. It wasn't because he got all this money and he's going to go live in Miami. He knew he had to get the hell out of California because a lot of the things he said, made white men look bad. Again, I'll say that from the outside looking in. But to me, he ceased to be a white man, right? You guys got to understand the technicalities of prison and politics and shit. He ceased to be a white man the moment he was no good. See, in a white world, it's like this. Having done time with Woods, Skins, those of a hierarchy, when you are out bad or no good or they consider you trash, you lose your white skin, brother. You're not looked at as a white man anymore. You lost that privilege. It's how they feel. You're now just trash. Susceptible to anyone, any ethnicity, any race, all that. That's how they feel, right? At least I've been told in the past. And so Wes Watson is not white anymore. So he has to go out there somehow, some way in Miami and figure out if he's one of them island boys and he's Puerto Rican, and no disrespect to the Puerto Ricans, but he's going to have to go figure some shit out. Because according to Two Scoops, who is an alleged, I'll just say that, brand member, he says that dude's no good, man. So now what does that mean for Wes Watson? That means a lot. That means all that bullshit about being a shot caller and going into the California prison system and doing this, doing that, that's no can do, buddy. That's Toucan Sam. Use a Fruit Loop, right? You can't go back there and do anything, just like I can't go back there and do anything. See, but I'm not scared to admit it. I understand where I'm at, where I stand. I understand that if I was incarcerated in the state of California, right, I'd have to go in there and throw major bows. I'd have to throw hands like a motherfucker because I'm not welcome. But I'm not welcome because I'm too tough or because I'm faking the funk or because I'm playing games. I'm not welcome because I violated a rule, an infraction within my group. Okay, even before this YouTube shit, I just targeted myself, but even before this YouTube shit, I was not welcomed. I was not embraced because I chose the red on red route, which I shouldn't have. Nowadays, motherfuckers is doing it and things have changed, right? But I'm not here playing the boohoo game. I'm not here doing the toro disgruntled. I'm not here doing the Wes Watson lying to you about being a shot caller and beating up on my cellies. Obviously, man, everyone watches YouTube. Everyone watches social media. So that means that these individuals that have made the ultimate sacrifice, that are actually, considered the hierarchy for whites in California, they don't like Wes Watson. So that's a dangerous situation for him, man. If it's gotten to that point where, and of course, man, when someone is saying, man, I was a shot caller, I was beating up other white men, I was doing this, I was doing that, wasn't no one going to do nothing about it. I always wondered to myself, where the fuck are these fucking, the hitters, the real ones? Where the fuck are they at when all this was happening? Why weren't there wheelers being written and sent to the back to the bay where the real ones were, right? And said, hey, there's this fucking white dude all fucking twacked out of his mind on crank, right? Running around the yard talking about he fucking beat up anything and anyone, screaming at his cellies. I mean, Wes Watson, according to Wes Watson, he's beat up almost every single cellie he's had. Slapped them with baloney in the face, You know what I'm saying? Did other obscene things to them that I really can't speak on right here because I like my channel. I don't want to get struck. I'm just saying this guy has done a lot and said a lot. And then, of course, man, once you're out of prison, I understand you're living the street life now. You got freedom. You are no longer bound to those prison politics. But this man continues to be an egomaniac and continues to utilize people of all colors to get over on the white man, to get over on the brown man, the black man, whatever man he can get over on. I don't think that the organization over there, man, took too kindly to some of his stories and the way that he talks about treating the white man. It makes him look bad. It makes everyone look bad. See, one thing I learned doing time in prison when it came to the Norteños, the group that I functioned with, right? There was certain standards of professionalism we considered we had to carry ourselves with. Very militant, very structured. You know, when we went out to that yard, there was no time for playing games. It was go time. Always go time. You had to be poste or you had to be on that track. Everyone had a job to do when I was there. Things have changed now, and I'm not going to get into the way the politics are now. Back in my days, that's how it was, right? You had to be on your game. You had to be doing your counts. There was a lot of things that went into it. Now, I'm sure the Southsiders carry themselves the same way. I used to see them on the other side of the yard, playing their handball, kicking back in their groups. I could identify just by being locked up which group was security, which group was fucking pretty lax, which group. Now, with the Southsiders, there were so many of them, it was hard to keep track of every single one of them, but they were definitely doing their thing, right? With the Woods, there wasn't as many of them. Woods and Skins, they functioned together on the yards. There was always a little bit of friction or animosity between the Woods and Skins. Skins kind of, were a little bit more political when it came to the hate shit. But that's just how that was. Woods were just doing Wood time. And I used to see them horseplay. I used to see them do their thing. But I knew when it was go time, they were ready. So for Wes Watson to be on these yards, slapping dudes up on the yard, slapping his cellies up, it's not the way it works, man. You're not allowed to put hands on your people, especially at these 4 yards and these 3 yards. I don't know how it was going on in 1 and 2. I never been there. No big issue, right? Just never was there. But on a level 3 and a level 4 yard, you're not allowed. If you have a knife in your ass, you have to use that knife in your ass, okay? You're not allowed to be slapping people up, beating them up in your cell, and function on that yard. Immediately, there would have been a wheel out written to the back, and you would have been called to the back to ask why you did that to your cellie. And you better have a good fucking excuse other than he ate the last sopa. Straight up, right? So basically what I'm trying to say here in this spill is that Wes Watson was exposed by a brand member, an alleged brand member, as being no good in the state of California, man, and not admired, not embraced. So he better keep his ass over there in Florida, do his little bit of knick-knack, paddywhack time, give a dog a bone, because it ain't party time, party home when he comes back to California. There's none of that anymore. No real Wood brother or no good white man is going to ever sit there and tell you that Wes Watson, the egomaniac, the fucking self-proclaimed God, the white God, brother, is in good standings. See, and it doesn't take all these dudes. Well, it doesn't matter. He paroled again. None of that fucking matters, bro. What status you paroled in, none of that matters, because anyone that has a certain status could deem you whenever they want for whatever they want. See, that's what you're not told. When you sign up for this shit, you're not told, bro. You don't even have to do anything. If motherfuckers say, hey, we don't want him, they're going to throw you back like a fucked up catfish with one whisker, right? They're going to throw your ass back. Wes Watson has been thrown back. He's been thrown back because of the stories, the manipulation, and the way he is. And I always knew this. And that's why, to me, I recognized him as the liar he was. You notice I don't do as many videos about Wes Watson as others do, man. It's just fun and games when it comes to Wes. He makes the content easy. He's such a clown, right? But that clowning shit, the way you act, everyone is watching, and it means something to certain people. And he has basically caught the eyes of the ultimate when it comes to the whites, right? And they say, no can do, brother. Fuck you. Trade this dude in for coffee and clear, right? You are not welcome to the reindeer games. Wes Watson, and it's serious. I'm making fun and making light, but it's really serious. If someone of that level says that, beware, man. You got to be like, oh, wow. Fuck, I didn't know that. That dude needs to stay the fuck away from California, as far away from fucking San Diego. He should cover all the San Diego shit he has because he's easily identified because his name is Wiggity Wiggity, right? So everyone knows about, Wesley Watson, and he knows what time it is, man. He knows, that's why he moved his ass up out of there. Anyways, with that being said, let me know what you think. Do you think this time is for reals? It's for keeps? All I can say is I don't speak too much on those prison organizations, but because that guy is on social media himself, I just wanted to touch on that with respect. And you say, oh, Gun, you're scary, man. You show these guys too much respect. Well, if you've been around real ones and you've done time like I've done, and you know what it is, you'd be a little leery too, man. I'm just gonna say that. It's not scariness. I've never been scared of no man, but I've been told to respect all men, even the white men, brother. With that being said, thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's gonna be the head that wears the crown. I'm gonna continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly, truly believe in. And that's the betterment of all people, man.